the Southern Ohio Farm Show. This is Gigi Neal of OSU Extension in Claremont County, Agricultural and Natural Resources Educator.
I'm James Morris, the Agricultural and Natural Resources and Community Development Educator for the Ohio State University Extension in Brown County.
And I'm Brooke Beam, the Ohio State University Extension Educator for Agriculture, Natural Resources, and Community Development in Highland County. And we will be your hosts for the Southern Ohio Farm Show. All right, well, this morning we're joined by Sam Custer, who is serving as the Assistant Director for Agriculture and Natural Resources with Ohio State University Extension. Sam, I know that we've got some new resources now that things are going more digital and having an online presence here during COVID-19. And there's a new website. Can you tell us some more about the website and some key features that people can look forward to?
Well, Brooke, it's a pleasure to be with you today, and thank you for asking me to be able to share one of the new approaches that we are taking this winter to provide education on a continual basis to our clientele. So we have a great group of people working on multiple teams in OSU Extension, and they have come up with an ability to provide a roadmap of educational opportunities for this winter in the agriculture and natural resources area. So if you go to our website at agnr.osu.edu/programming, you'll see a map of a typical agriculture setting with animals, plants, energy, greenhouses, all types of agriculture there. And we have balloons to each one of those areas that identify a basic programming area. And our teams have put together educational opportunities for this winter that are already populated in that website. We look forward to adding additional programming as they're developed this winter. But right now, for instance, if you go to the livestock and dairy area, you'll find programming in to get your certified livestock manager credits, programming on Ohio Cow-Calf Outlook. There's also virtual pasture for profit course programming out there, and a whole array of other meetings that are available. So we know this year that there are going to be very few face-to-face meetings provided by Ohio State University Extension. The team wanted to come together and provide our constituents with the opportunities to attend the great meetings that we have. And I am really, really thrilled to say the teams have put together excellent meetings that everyone will be able to take part of. In addition to attending the live virtual meetings, those meetings will be recorded and available for people to watch at your convenience. So we will be bringing OSU Extension to you all winter long from Ohio State virtually.
And that's a great resource for a lot of individuals. I think another point to add is that for a lot of these meetings, there's a call-in option. So if they don't have internet at their home, or if they're in a tractor and they want to listen in, that they can do this remotely over the telephone lines as well.
Yes, we want to make sure. We know some people aren't in the same position as others. So the phone-in method is there. There'll be question and answer periods. And then for many of the programs that are available out there, there will be regional meetings at the ends of these live meetings, so that you can meet with your county educator or with county educators from your area to discuss how you may apply the information learned in your own setting.
Yeah, that's a great thing that we can do in this era to connect with our fellow producers. So you mentioned that we have this wide variety of content. How often is the website updated? Like, how soon would I be able to get a new update for more programming?
Brooke, we hope that all programming will be up to date just as soon as we get that. So we have a work study student at Ohio State that is collecting the information, and daily she'll be entering the new programming. So if you don't see offerings that interest you, I would encourage you to check back, maybe not daily, but on a weekly basis, to see what new programming in the areas of your interest. And that's a great way to look at this. You don't have to search over the livestock and dairy section and all the offerings there if your true interest is in urban agriculture. You can just go to the Urban Ag site and download those programs that are available, check in, see when the registrations take place, and get all set. So they'll be updated regularly.
Very good. Well, we definitely want to make sure that everybody's experience is tailored to their production and their interests. And I know another subject that while we're talking about our digital programming and how things are changing for the winter is how we'll be approaching the private fertilizer and pesticide recertification. Can you give us a few updates about those changes as well?
So Brooke, I think that's very important information to share, and we appreciate you giving us the opportunity to share that here. I know here in Darke County, I received probably 5 or 6 calls last Wednesday alone on how are we going to do certification this year. So across the state of Ohio, there'll be several different options for you to renew your fertilizer and pesticide certifications. We have a Carbon Canvas option where you can go online and complete the recertification hours as you need at your own pace and your own schedule. So that could take place on a Saturday night at 9 if you need that for your Saturday evening entertainment, or any other time that works for you. So it's at your own pace. Another option where needed, and if we're able to with COVID regulations, there will be in some counties an in-person option. We'll need to keep those numbers down, and we'll be watching our health department guidelines prior to those. And then also there will be multiple online opportunities. Those will be live and online. Maybe in your county or in a neighboring county will provide those. And also we will wrap up in March with a statewide online opportunity. So where before you had your in-person meeting and we heard you have an interest in doing online recertifications, we're going to give it a shot this year and see how that works. So take advantage of the opportunity to go at your own pace in Carmen campus, an in-person meeting, or one of the multiple online opportunities that you'll see advertised later this calendar year. So probably by the end of December, you'll see all the different options that are available in your area.
That's right. And to clarify, it was announced last week by Governor DeWine's office that they're extending the deadline to recertify to July 1st, 2021. So that applies to producers that still need to recertify for the calendar year of 2020 and into 2021. So if they're interested in the online recertification, there are a couple dates to consider. There is going to be some scheduled maintenance to the online Carmen Canvas course. So for private fertilizer and pesticide recertification, that will be down for scheduled maintenance from December 1st to January 11th. And then for commercial producers who are wanting to recertify, the site will be under maintenance from December 1st to January 19th. But let's let you enjoy the holidays with your family, but then you can pick up on your recertification after the site has had its scheduled maintenance. So, but yeah, there's a lot of new opportunities to participate with Ohio State University Extension. And we're really glad to have these updates from you, Sam. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with us before we go to our next guest?
Well, Brooke, truly thank you again for allowing me to be part of this and to be part of your programming. You're doing an excellent job of taking OSU Extension into the next century. So we thank you so much as you have provided leadership there. Also, just a reminder, the statewide virtual offerings that we're providing this year give us the opportunity to bring the very best across Ohio and even outside of our state boundaries to you. So we thank everyone that's been a part of this. I thank all of our leaders in OSU Extension for allowing this to happen. So Brooke, thank you. Keep up the great work. We're proud of you.
Thanks, Sam. We appreciate you joining us on the Southern Ohio Farm Show today.
Hello, my name's Richard Purdin. I'm with the OSU Extension for Adams County. I'm the Ag and Natural Resource Educator and Community Development Educator. And today we're going to be discussing how to test forage, wrapped forage, which is also called baleage or high moisture haylage. The concern from the producer, or the reason why we're actually testing this forage, is that this forage was growing under drought conditions or under very dry conditions, and accumulation of nitrates is of concern. So to test for forage, there's multiple ways you can test, but probing and getting multiple tests from a lot or a field or area is the best way to analyze this forage. So when you're testing your forage, you want to make sure that you know what type of forage it is. That way the sample or the lab knows what type of forage it is, and also how many bales that you actually have out of that field or lot. So it is recommended to test 10 to 15 bales per lot or field. And so the best way to test forage is that we'll actually cut into the side of the bale. We'll cut a little slice into the plastic, right into the side. And you just want to make it big enough to where you can get your probe. You'll want to have a plastic bucket to collect the sample. And then when you're sending off to the lab, you'll want to have a Ziploc bag or a plastic bag. And you'll want to send the results as soon as possible because the longer this forage sits in warm weather or in even room temperature weather, bacteria can grow, and then oxygen will cause the forage to rot. So sending it to the lab as soon as possible after sampling is important. If you cannot send it as soon as possible, putting it into a cool area or refrigerator until it's able to be sent is a good idea to keep it preserved and keep bacteria and rotting from happening. To use a soil or a hay probe, there's multiple kinds out there. There's the mechanical or the hand ones, and there's also these that you can actually put into a cordless drill. I do recommend, if you use one of these, make sure that you have plenty of batteries or a way to charge your batteries, because this will take a lot of life out of the batteries. And then we have our plunger here to plunge it out. Some of these hay probes actually have an attachment to where you can put a bag around it, but today we'll just be putting it into the bucket. Okay, so the reason why we're going into the side of the bale is that we're getting multiple layers of the windrow that this bale was made up of. If you go in from the end of the bale, or the top at this point, you're actually only getting a small portion of that windrow. So we want to make sure that we go in from the side of the bale and as far as we can go in. So we made our cut, and now we're going to start drilling into it. Okay, so we got about that far into the bale, so we got a good portion of that bale layer. And now we'll go ahead and take our plunger, set it over the bucket, and sometimes this, for haylage, it's hard to push out or or wet baleage. So sometimes it is a little bit challenging to get pushed out, but we'll just put it in there. And then you'll want to go down the row, like I said, 10 to 15 per lot or per field or per area. So when you're actually, this is individually baled baleage, so these can be moved in different areas, which is nice because you can actually keep lots separate much easier than in line or one continuous wrapped line. So if you have any questions on baleage or wrapping or testing your forage, you can always give me a call. 937-544-2339 is our office number. If you have any questions about it, talk to your local extension agents. They should be able to help you out with any questions or concerns.
Greetings, my name is Tim McDermott. I work for OSU Extension here in Franklin County, and today we are going to be talking about how to be holiday safe with our furry friends. So I get a lot of questions about what foods should I give or not give to my dog and my cat, and there's a lot of variables that really can affect this. But if I had to generalize, I would say honestly, just about any food that you could give your dog or your cat has the potential to make them sick. And the reason for that is a dog or a cat who is on, dog food or cat food that you got from your vet or you got from the store, that food is formulated to be nutritionally complete and reliably similar in ingredients, and they eat it every single day. So what that means is their body's bacteria get used to it in their gut. And if they eat something, even if it's a small something that is something that that bacteria is not able to deal with, that can cause a problem. For example, say you ate oatmeal every day for breakfast and you decide one day that you want to try something different. So you go with maybe some sausage gravy and biscuits or some bacon, eggs over easy, stuff that sounds great to me and stuff that's not poisonous, but it's just not what you're used to after eating oatmeal every day. You might find that after ingesting that, you have some gastrointestinal distress. So just about anything can potentially upset the belly of our furry friends. Now, there are a bunch of things that are downright potentially hazardous, and this is a partial list that I got from the ASPCA Poison Control website, where these different ingredients or these different things that they may eat can actually cause them to be sick from a number of different reasons. They may be very high in fat, much more high in fat, say, than their normal food that they eat. There could be some irritant to them. Citrus is known to cause some irritation in the gut. That's not something they generally eat. It actually may cause an obstruction. I know that dogs love bones, but boy, if they get a big piece of bone broke off, and not even necessarily a big piece, depending on where it might get stuck in there, that can cause a blockage, and that can be a medical emergency. So I like to tell folks, I know your dogs love them, but boy, have I taken a lot of bones out surgically when I was in private practice. And then similar to pathogens, for example, I know that there's a lot of diets where folks will feed raw meat, but I worry about some of that raw meat diet in terms of some of the pathogens that can be present, things like E. coli or things like salmonella. And then there's some ingredients on this list that are downright poisonous to pets. Things like chocolate. Everybody's heard how chocolate is a toxin and dose dependent, whatever form of the chocolate is in, depending on how big or small your dog is, that can pose a serious problem. Near the bottom of the list, you'll see xylitol. Xylitol is a sugar substitute, and you'll see it in a lot of sugar-free products, such as gum or something like that. Xylitol is extremely toxic to pets. Even though we can tolerate it, they cannot tolerate it at all. And if they ingest products with xylitol in it, that is a medical emergency. So make sure you familiarize yourself with some of the foods or ingredients that are potentially hazardous to your pets. Now, what happens if they get into something they shouldn't, right? Maybe they get into a bag of chocolate chip cookies or something like that. We're in the holiday season, there's going to be lots of treats around. It's really important that you have a veterinary client-patient relationship in place, because if you have that relationship, you can call your vet and you can get some guidance over the phone on what you would do depending on what they got into. If we have that relationship in place, the veterinarian has seen the pet, the veterinarian knows the client, that allows us to give guidance. Whereas if we don't have that, we can't really recommend treatment. We can only recommend that you bring your pet in so that we can see you. If they ingest something, there might be guidance on inducing vomiting, but in some cases, it's contraindicated to induce vomiting, so make sure you get guidance first. And then what do you do if your pet is vomiting or your pet has diarrhea? So if they're vomiting, I recommend you pull the food and the water up so they can't get at it, and then you call your vet. You might think that maybe your pet is hungry since it vomited, or it might be thirsty after that, but if they ingest something and they're not ready to eat again, we need to give that belly a chance to rest. And if we haven't given it a chance to rest, that might induce more vomiting. And when they vomit, not only do they dehydrate, but they lose electrolytes as well. If your pet has diarrhea, call your vet, because depending on what the status of your patient is, they might be able to give you guidance on some over-the-counter products that you can use. And keep in mind, there are some products that can be used in dogs that are toxic in cats. So make sure you get recommendations from your veterinarian. They're going to ask you how your pet's doing, and they're going to recommend maybe an over-the-counter product, or bring your pet in so that we can take a look at it. And then there is a poison control hotline that you can call that is available 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. If your pet gets into some food product or something that they may not have, or if it's something like a houseplant, or they get into some toxins, or you just don't know if what they got into is a problem or not. This is something that you can contact. They're going to ask you about your pet, how old, how much they weigh, and then they're going to be able to give you some guidance, or at least say that this is something that you do need to contact your veterinarian about. Now, this is open 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. There may be a charge depending on what level of guidance you need. So make sure that you understand that while giving pets treats seems like it might be a kindness to them, they would way rather that you just spend a lot of time with them. A nice long walk with your dog, or maybe petting, a little bit of some brushing. They're very social. They really want to be around their family. And so instead of giving them a treat or a snack, just spend some quality time with your furry friend and make sure that you have a happy holiday.
Welcome. My name is Chris Bruynis. I work for Ohio State University in Ross County. Today I want to talk a little bit about year-end tax planning. We're sitting 1 month away from the new year, and we have to start thinking about how do we manage our tax liability. The goal is never to not pay any income tax for a farm family. We need to be earning money and we need to be paying taxes. But in order to do that, we have cash accounting available to us, which allows us to take away those variances. So if we have a really profitable year one year and a not so profitable year the next, we can try to stay in that same tax bracket. So there are some tools that we have to do that, and I'll get to those in a minute. But first, let's talk about all the different income streams that we have coming into the farm this year because of COVID, because of low prices. There's a whole host of reasons. And so the first one is, let's talk about farm bill payments, and whether that's through the ARC PLC program or whether that's WIP payments. I know there was an area close to me that there was a significant amount of money came out in the WIP program. All of that income is deemed taxable income, and it must be claimed in the year that it was received. Second would be the coronavirus food assisted program. There was round 1 and round 2 of that program. And that affected some people that have never gotten government program payments before, mainly our livestock producers and our small fruit and vegetable producers. Again, that is considered taxable income, and it cannot be deferred. It's taxable in this calendar year. We also had the emergency income or the EIDL program, which was a loan, but there was two pieces of that program. The first piece was the immediate payment, and then there was the loan. Well, that immediate payment started out at $10,000 and then was reduced to $1,000. That's treated as a grant, and it again becomes income in the year that it was received. The last one I want to talk about, and not a lot of farmers took advantage of this one, but some did, is the payroll protection program, where there was money available so that we didn't have to lay employees off. Even if you were self-employed and income was looking really, really bad early in the year when this came out, you could have gotten money to pay yourself your income that you would have generated from the farm in a typical year. Again, that was forgiven, or can be if you meet all the right criteria. So if you have met all the criteria to have that loan forgiven, then we can't turn around and deduct the employee expenses that was created, or we use those monies to spend. And so we can't do both. We either take the forgiveness and then we have to not deduct the payroll that we paid as a result of that, or we take it as income and then write off the payroll expenses, but we cannot do both. So that's all the income things that I really wanted to talk about today. Next, I want to talk about like-kind exchanges. Like-kind exchanges are no longer available. This changed last year already for equipment trade-ins. It used to be that you could trade in your tractor or a combine on a new one, and that the difference was the value of the one you traded in, subtracted from the value of the one you purchased, and that became your new depreciable amount on that new purchase. Well, the way it's changed now, we sell the new piece of equipment, that's a taxable gain on our income tax return, and then we depreciate the full amount of the piece of equipment that is purchased. Now, if we have enough income that we can use Section 179 or bonus depreciation, we can make that income from the sale of the tractor disappear through depreciation. And so our net effect probably isn't a whole lot different on our federal tax return as it has been in previous years, but we don't have that same tool to use in terms of the bonus depreciation and accelerated Section 179 depreciation on our Ohio income tax return. And I've talked to farmers a year ago that said that because of that, they had a $8,000, $10,000, $15,000 tax liability on their Ohio side that they were not planning on. So if you're trading equipment, make sure you're paying attention to this loss of the like-kind exchange, and not necessarily how it affects your federal income tax, but how it affects your Ohio income tax return. The other thing that I wanted to talk about briefly is, as we start thinking about our tax return, the goal is never to have zero income. We need to be making money, we need to be profitable businesses, but it's to level that out. The last thing before I conclude today, I want to talk about the changes in the 1099 forms. For the last several years, if we had a contractor, custom hire, custom harvest, we would issue a 1099 miscellaneous. Well, the IRS has brought back, we used to have in the 60s and early 70s, the 1099 non-employee compensation, or NEC. And so if you're submitting or issuing 1099s this fall to those people that have done custom work for you, make sure you're using the right form, and that would be the 1099 NEC, and that's available on the IRS website with instructions included on when to use that form. Again, wishing you and your family a Merry Christmas and a great tax return.
Kratzer. I'm the Office Associate for the OSU Extension Office in Brown County. Today I would like to share a recipe that is a Southern Ohio Brown County favorite called peanut bars. This is a list of ingredients that you will need for the sponge cake part of the peanut bar. In a mixing bowl, beat 4 egg yolks for 1 minute and then add 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Add 2 cups of sugar and beat for 5 minutes. In a second mixing bowl, sift 2 cups of flour with 3 teaspoons of baking powder. Add 1 teaspoon vanilla that you have added to your 1 cup of water and combine with your first mixture. Fold in the 4 egg whites that you have beaten stiff. The next step will be your baking, your cooling, and your cutting of your bars. The ingredients you will need for buttercream frosting are 1/2 cup or 1 stick of butter, 4 cups confectionery sugar, 2 teaspoons vanilla extract, and 1/4 cup of milk. Cream your butter with the confectionery sugar, stir in your vanilla, and add your milk. If the frosting seems too thick, or if it seems too thin, add additional confectionery sugar or milk as needed. You will find that right consistency. Choose salted or lightly salted peanuts and purchase 2 to 3 regular sized cans. Ground the peanuts using a food processor. Place the ground peanuts in a shallow dish, icing all sides of the peanut bar. Roll your bar in grounded peanuts. Place on a cookie sheet and let the peanut bars rest for a few minutes before storing. You can wrap them individually with plastic wrap or place them in an airtight container. Enjoy.